What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports MLB Swing for the Fences show. I'm your host, Mangone. I'm here with Titletown on a day where we don't have Coors on the slate. There's Coors today, so I'm sure he's got them all jammed into his early lineups. And then we got Draft Cheat here, another guy who loves himself some Coors Field because he's right next to it. Title, I'll go over to you. How is the day going, and how are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we don't have Coors on the main slate, but we were still able to get some action in the early slate. Tatis just hit a bomb, I think, like 10 seconds before we came on the show. Yeah, he's very chalky. A lot of people have him, but if you don't, well, that's your fault. You should have played Tatis today. So it's a fun 6-game slate, and then we got a nice 8-game slate tonight. I wish we always had at least once a week slates like this. I mean, a full day of really good baseball, good contests on both sides. So I hope we get it every week, and we also get a better pitching slate than we do hitting, which it feels like it's the first time I've said that on this show in a long time. So excited to dive into it. A lot of options, and always good talking some baseball and playoff basketball later as well.
Yeah, DC, I'll go over to you. We got, some playoff basketball. Has been fun. It's been fun seeing good old Titletown's.
Only if we could have heard them chirp the Bucks.
My bad. I don't know. The internet went unstable, so I don't know. It's
is that on your end, man? Going?
It's been fine. Yeah, I think it was on my end. It said it on the screen. My internet's been good for a while, so we haven't had that in a long time. But it's no clue why. But DC, I was asking about Titles Bucks. I was talking about like how the Coors game's going today and the early baseball slate.
Yeah, it's on the Rocky side of it. So I got Trevor Story. He's got a double and a steal early, so matching Tatis. We'll see. Yeah, basketball. We have basketball tonight. It's like everybody. Is any stars going to even be left by the time they play the finals? Looks like Kawhi Leonard, right, done for the season. It sounds like. So you're not only baseball players, but basketball players dropping left and right with injuries. Going to be kind of I think a crazy summer in baseball, and hopefully the NBA can kind of limp to the finish and give us a good finals with who's ever left, right? Who's ever out there. I don't know. We're going to see a Rudy Gobert finals MVP, something like that, which would be just absurd. I know that would tilt BigT and Hoop to no end, so I'm kind of rooting for that.
I mean, listen, I want to see them miserable, but I don't want to be miserable with them, right? Like, I at least want to enjoy it a little bit. Title, what do you think of all the crazy NBA news before we kind of dive into some MLB?
Yeah, I mean, it's just very sad to wake up to that news. Kawhi, obviously, you hate to see that. And then the Chris Paul getting COVID. I mean, I'm not going to deep dive into that stuff too much, but
let him play.
It sucks. I mean, you want to see the best players out there, and you want to see performances like last night. Obviously, it sucked as a Bucks fan, but what a legendary performance by Kevin Durant. And that's the stuff you want to see, stars being stars in really good games. So hopefully Kawhi gets healthy. It doesn't sound good. I didn't hear officially if it's an ACL, a torn ACL, but I know it's an ACL injury, probably what it is. And hopefully we can see Chris Paul out there sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, if you want more of Titletown's COVID takes, there's probably a DFS podcast out there in the space that someone, he can jump on if he wants.
No, I'm not going to get involved in that. I'll leave that to DC.
You can come on my baseball pod. We'll take a break from baseball and talk COVID for an hour.
I'll leave that on DC's Twitter. He's got it taken care of.
Oh man. Speaking of DC's Twitter, I mean, football season in 3 months, we get Booger McFarland back. DC, are we gonna get Booger back for the NFL season?
Yes, I think Booger will make a return. You have to be a little bit careful on Twitter these days. They'll come after you. They'll cancel your account. I can't be having that go down on my Twitter account. But yeah, Booger will return. I think Booger's got a good sense of humor. I don't think he's going to be the type to report me to try to get my account banished. So I feel okay kind of impersonating him, and obviously one of my favorite pastimes. It's not the same now that he's not actually doing the Monday Night Football games, but can still have some fun with that for sure.
Yep, for sure. We got Ohtani just hit a home run. So balls are flying right now. The sticky substance is gone or almost gone, at least as they say. But we have a really, really nice pitching slate that we got to talk about here. Cannot wait. I do want to say, guys, please hit that like, hit that subscribe. It is a Wednesday. We got some day baseball. We got some night baseball. And we also have a nice PGA show because we got a major this week, right? For the U.S. Open, we got Big T, we got JSU and Uncle T. They'll be giving you the free winners on the YouTube channel at 9 o'clock. They'll be holding Simon hostage for many, many hours, I'm sure. And I wouldn't be surprised if we go on to the premium show for a little bit afterwards and talk about it. So should be a really fun time. Be sure to check that out. I don't think you guys have jumped on that PGA show, even though you guys are not PGA guys title in DC. Is there a chance if we have the Brady Bunch, 10 people on the screen, will we be seeing you guys tonight?
I'll probably be just listening to you guys watching some basketball. I don't know anything about golf, so I just listen to you guys talk winners and enjoy it. So unfortunately, I think I'll probably be out.
Well, if I was Big T, I would tell you that you're a winner title and winners win, and you will pick winners, so it doesn't matter. DC, I don't know if he would say the same thing to you. I don't know. Big T doesn't like to give you the credit in any of the streets except the MLB ones, right? He says that you are the pitching master. But will you be hanging out with us? Because I'm sure Big T does want to see you on the show tonight.
No, I see enough of you guys during the, I'm on these shows six days a week. That's enough for me. I got the podcast every night. I need a break from you fellas once in a while. So yeah, no PGA show for me either.
All right. Well, it'll be fun. Maybe I'll make an appearance there. The grandmother's China cabinet, which was there a couple weeks ago, that will not make an appearance. Sorry.
You know PGA though. You know winners, so that's why you're on there. That makes sense. Us too. I think PGA is this.
Someone would throw me a golf question. I'd ramble for 10 minutes about sticky substances in baseball, and then I'd never be invited back. So yeah, I won't be showing up tonight.
You would be like Bryson. Bryson's the guy that's like out there, like whenever he's like trying to figure out like which way the ball is going to go, he throws it in the air and he like puts water on it too to see if it'll go a different direction based on if it's wet or not. Like you'd be the Bryson DeChambeau guy out there, DC.
I did try to get into PGA golf for a while. I was trying to dig into all the stats, get real deep in there on the, are they putting on the POA or the bent grass, and it never really worked. So then I just kind of gave up on golf. I'll follow the Run Pure Sports picks and just go with that and spare myself the time.
Yep. We got Steve Boynton in the chat saying, what is up, guys? We have Double Pair in the chat saying, I have DeGrom and Greinke as my top pitchers tonight. And hey, I kind of agree that those are two guys. They're maybe not the top raw points guys, right? I think DeGrom is, but Greinke, he's a really good value. And that's a great way to segue over to Titletown to talk about some chalk, because we know Title loves to eat that chalk. What are you doing at the top? I think you're easily eating Greinke. I think I'm doing the cash chart. Not Greinke. I think you're easily eating DeGrom as the chalk play. I think DeGrom is going to be on the cash chart as the number one play, and that's no secret. But what do you think about the top end arms Titletown?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not necessarily eating Greinke chalk for sure, if that's where it goes. But DeGrom SP1, he's just the best pitcher in baseball for sure. Last start, he pitched 6 innings. He had 80 pitches. The big thing I am interested here, DC's take on how does he think DeGrom's fully healthy? Does he think his elbow's still a little bothering him? I mean, fully healthy DeGrom is easily a lock and a go-to on this slate. I'm still going to play him as SP1 in cash tournaments. I might pivot. There are pivots off of him. If DC thinks that it's a little concern, but not only DeGrom, DeGrom's up there as SP1, but we have Clayton Kershaw, Garrett Cole, Zach Wheeler, and then Zach Greinke in the tier below at 7.4K. I would only stick to those 5 today. I'm not looking at any other pitchers on the slate. There's just no need to, in my opinion. If I rank besides DeGrom up top, Kershaw and Wheeler, I have a little above Garrett Cole, and that's because of the better matchup. I don't like picking on Toronto. There's no need to on a slate. I mean, Kershaw and Wheeler have good matchups. I'm just not going to go Garrett Cole today at 10.5. I'll take a little discount at SP2. And I think I'm leaning Zach Wheeler actually as my SP2 today. I think he's going to be less popular than Kershaw. And he's just been the second best pitcher in baseball this year. He's had very, very good stuff. I'll take the ownership discount, 9.6K too. You get a little price discount. And this isn't a fully healthy Dodgers team. So I'm just going to ride the momentum. He's looked very, very good. I think I get an ownership discount, and he's my favorite SP2 in tournaments. In cash games, though, like you said, Zach Greinke, 7.4K. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do at SP2 yet. That price really does stand out, but if you get either Kershaw or Wheeler or Cole getting 13 strikeouts or 14 strikeouts, you're going to need both of those pitchers because Zach Greinke is not going to get you double-digit strikeouts. The reason you're playing him is to get up to bats. He's too cheap and a good matchup against Texas. So I like him in cash. He's more of a cash play, but in tournaments, it's DeGrom, and then I'm Wheeler SP2. He's just been so good.
All right, DC, Titletown wants to hear about Mr. Jacob DeGrom. Is he fine? What would you do with him on this slate? I mean, there's a lot of good arms that you could pivot to very easily, or you can just eat Jacob DeGrom against the Cubs and call it a day.
It's a tough call with DeGrom, I think. You know, a fully healthy DeGrom at 11K. I mean, what he's doing this season is just, it's unprecedented. His ERA is 0.56, and he's earned every bit of it. But you have to be a little bit concerned about the injuries at this point. I mean, you know, back on May 9th, so over a month ago, he was removed from the start early in that one, 68 pitches, missed a couple weeks, came back. They let him throw 63 pitches. He dominated, of course. From there, though, last 3 starts, 70, 85, and then removed himself from the game, I believe, in that last start after 80 pitches. I think that's what happened. I can't remember for sure, but you know, he's got some elbow issues and his fingers, you know, it's like a finger elbow issue type thing. I mean, it doesn't seem like something that you would recover from immediately and be able to start on your normal day's rest 5 days later, right? If it was hurt, if your elbow was hurting you enough to take you out of a start that you were dominating, and then you're just totally fine and good to go. I mean, I guess like he keeps doing it, right? He's just like the Terminator. You can't take him out despite these seemingly, I guess, little injuries that he's sustaining. But I'm a little bit concerned about it. You know, we haven't seen him throw 85 pitches in his last 5 starts. Last time he threw over 85 pitches was in April, you know, and we're in the middle of June. So it's a concern for me. He's just so good that he doesn't need.
He gets it done in 80 pitches.
He does, or at least he has, you know.
Yeah.
Also, the pricing, DC, right? The pricing is the problem. His price tag, it's not bad, but it could be higher, right? And the problem is the hitters' price tags are just too cheap, it seems like, for the most part, right? And that's kind of, I think, the issue that lies with trying to fade DeGrom, because it's just not that easy.
Sure, yeah, it wouldn't be a fade because of his price. I'm not worried about that, but I mean, there's definitely a way higher chance DeGrom gets removed early from this start than would happen to Kershaw or Wheeler, who I do have both those guys ahead of Garrett Cole. So I don't know. I think I'll play 20 lineups tonight. I'll probably have DeGrom on maybe 5 to 10 of them, but not a full send for me, even though he's just ridiculously good. I'm a little bit worried about it. And when you're paying that high price tag, you know, most expensive pitcher on the slate and perhaps highest owned pitcher on the slate, and you throw in a little injury risk with those two factors, right? Highest owned, highest price, and then you're a little bit concerned that something could happen to him. I don't know. I don't want to go 100% there, but it's just impossible to know. Kershaw, I was really high on him in his last start, called for a complete game shutout. Didn't quite get there, but six innings of no earned runs, 9 strikeouts, 0 walks. He's been ridiculously good. Kershaw has. I talked about it before his last start against Texas. This is the highest swinging strike percentage of Kershaw's career. Like he is rolling right now, and especially with a lot of pitchers probably losing some effectiveness due to the new rules that baseball is enforcing. I think Kershaw is going to kind of emerge, you know, almost like out of the ashes as a top 5 pitcher going forward, because he's not using this stuff. He doesn't need it. He's never needed it. So I really like Kershaw against Philly at home. I think he's going to pitch a gem. And I'm kind of with title on Zach Wheeler. He has just been absolutely ridiculous. He's almost like a mini DeGrom, where he can throw so hard, right? He's 99, 100 mile per hour with the fastball, and he just throws it right by people, right? It doesn't matter. I mean, he faced the Atlanta Braves in the last start, a very, very strong lineup, 12 strikeouts, no walks, leaned heavily on the fastball. And like Title said, the Dodgers lineup is diminished right now. No Max Muncy, no Corey Seager, no Cody Bellinger, 3 big left-handed bats out of the lineup. I mean, I think you could make the argument easily that those would be the 3 bats you'd be worried the most about for Zach Wheeler. 3 lefties right there. None of them will be in the lineup. So I like Zach Wheeler a lot. You'll get him very low owned. I think he's on the road. He's an underdog. He's got to face Kershaw. The Dodgers still have that big name. So I really like Zach Wheeler call as kind of a contrarian ace play. Keep going. Zach Greinke. Yeah, I think he's a solid play. And then the other guy that I'm looking at, and you can make fun of me for the second time in a row if you want, Mangone, but my guy Bailey Ober back on the mound. He looked pretty damn good against the Astros. You were mocking me for playing him last start. I mean, 7 strikeouts to 1 walk against the Astros. You give up 2 earned runs, went 5 innings. You know, he wasn't the best play in the world. 16.5 fantasy points at 4K, though, pretty good, especially against the Astros. My bigger point, though, is I was trying to make the case for that start that I think he's a really, really good pitcher. And to do that against the Astros kind of reinforces that, right? And now he gets to go into Seattle to face the Seattle lineup. He's 4.6K. They bumped his price tag a whole 600. I don't know how long they'll let him go, right? They 82 pitches, 73 pitches. So it doesn't seem like they have full confidence to give him like the third time through the order. But I've just continued to be impressed by this guy, to be honest. At this point, we're looking at 15 strikeouts to 2 walks over 13 innings for a guy that has dominated at every stop of the minor leagues. And now his stuff seems to be even improving. So I don't know if you need the punt today, but if you do, I have a lot of confidence in Bailey Ober to pitch well tonight.
Yeah, that's literally the one thing on a different slate.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably point per dollar. He's probably the best play on the slate. It's just, do you need him on a slate like this is the real question. But
you definitely don't need him, but you definitely can spend the money, right, on top end bats if you want to. So yeah, I do like him quite a bit.
He'll be low owned also because of that on this slate too. So
I think so.
Yeah, my problem with it is exactly what we're talking about here. Is like, you just probably don't need the salary. And that was like the other slate. It was the same exact slate too, DC, right? Like a lot of good arms to pay for. Actually, it was even like a better set of arms too. It was that one day where we had just so many pitchers, and then we had Bailey Ober, and I was like, yeah, you just don't need it, I guess. But he's definitely.
But I mean, there are scenarios where all the high end bats go off, and the only way to get them is to have a guy like Bailey Ober. I'm not saying that's going to happen or that's the most likely thing, but to say that you like can't use him just because you don't have to, like, the most expensive bats are the most expensive bats for a reason, right? Like if you want to stack the Braves, who I really like, you kind of need to punt one of the pitcher spots. So I totally get what you're saying, but I'll push back.
The really good argument for it, DC, is like, so I just did this quick, right? It's like, if I told you Garrett Richards got killed by the Braves, that wouldn't be crazy, right? Not a crazy statement being made. Yeah. If I told you the Houston Astros killed Jordan Lyles, everyone agrees that could happen tonight. Like a 5-3 sack of that could easily cost a lot of money, and Bailey Ober could really work with that, right? And that's just a quick way of, I just figured it out in literally 2 seconds.
Yeah, so, like a 4-man Braves and a 4-man Astros, and all the 5K plus hitters go off, and the only way to get those guys is to play a guy like Bailey Ober. Like that, obviously, that could be a scenario that ends up. It's hard to predict the winning lineup ahead of time. Of course, if it was easy, we'd do it every day. So yeah, but I think there's a path for Bailey Ober to be in the winning lineup tonight for sure.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I if I knew the winning lineup every single day, DC, I don't know if I'd even be here. I mean, I just would every day.
You would at least have some decorations in your background. We'll go that.
Yeah, that's true. DC, I did say this. I did not put up the decorations because I was going to ask. I have 2 pictures, and I keep going back and forth which one to put up. Should I do some show and tell for the people?
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah.
Here's the problem. Title is going to be biased towards one of the pictures, I think, but we'll see.
Well, one's Aaron Rodgers. I can almost guarantee
it's actually not Rodgers. I have a Rodgers helmet, but I don't know where I could put the helmet, but it's like autographed by him. But let me get the pictures right now. We'll take a pause from the MLB and I'll show you them. So here they are.
All right. You need something back there for sure. So
we're getting it. Hold on, I'm here.
Well, you could get the Run Pure Sports background like me and Tyler. This is a nice clean background. Like I don't like this
picture. Do you remember the snow game where he tossed
underhand?
Remember when he tossed it underhand?
That's a nasty picture.
It's a good picture, right? So
I'm biased.
Is that a legitimate autograph? It looks like one.
It's autographed. I bought it or whatever. It was a nice one. It's probably a little.
Yeah. I didn't think you went to his house and asked him to autograph it for you.
But this one's good. This one is autographed by 2 favorite players, Paul Pierce with Kobe on the side in the final.
Ooh.
Don't you have room for both of them? Or just one?
I don't know if I'd have room for both. I think it's too much, and I have something else I want to hang. But I mean, what's our choice here? The chat can let us know. There's a bunch of good options. I don't know what your guys' choices are, but
how about, you could switch them every season, whatever the season is, and you do that one. So football's coming up. I don't know.
Every game who's ever playing, whether it's the Lakers, Celtics, or Packers. So those are both very good options. I like both those pictures.
Yeah, I mean they're both very good options. The chat should let us know. I don't know if they've caught up or not. They're saying playing DeGrom is being a fish. Steve, I don't know. We were mentioning that at all, but you guys don't have a choice. I think the idea of switching back and forth between seasons is not the worst idea. And if that's the case, I'd have to.
You're way too lazy for that. That's never going to happen.
Yeah, it's some annoying thing, sure. But
they're both nice. I lean slightly Yeah, Brett Favre, the Packers, but in the snow game. But those are both very respectable. Something other than that white wall behind you will be good.
I'm gonna see, but I have one more thing I want to hang, and I really do like that. We'll talk about the catcher position. I'll go get that and show that because I think that has to be hung up. I think it's a very good thing. My friend bought me it. It's a good one. I'll find it. It's like somewhere over in the corner there. But let's talk about the let's continue to talk about pitchers because I don't think we finished all the way. We talked about Wheeler. I thought there was good points about that. What about Garrett Cole? We haven't talked too much about him, and he is playing the Blue Jays. It's in that minor league park. He's not really, I mean, it says he's getting ownership, but I don't know why people would play him. DC, talk to me about Garrett Cole. Can we take a shot on him?
And I'm not going to say Garrett Cole can't have a huge game. Obviously he can, but there's the spin rate concerns with him. He is coming off, like he was good in that outing against the Twins. He was throwing hard, but he did also have his lowest swinging strike rate or second lowest swinging strike rate. He was low against Houston of the year, right? 8.5% swinging strike rate in that one, which is not Garrett Cole like at all. That's almost half of what he typically does. So I'm a little bit concerned about him going forward, frankly. And I have him fourth, just in raw projection behind DeGrom, Kershaw, and Zach Wheeler. So I don't really see a great point to play Garrett Cole for me. Again, perfectly fine play. I don't know where he's going to end up on ownership. My guess is he'll be higher owned than Zach Wheeler, which I like Wheeler better just straight up. So no Garrett Cole for me. Obviously, it's Garrett Cole. He could have a great game. I'm not going to say he couldn't, but he won't get really close to my teams in my 20 lineup build.
All right, Tyler, give me your thoughts on Garrett Cole. I mean, he's an option, right? But I do think there's just better options. But like FanDuel, I think everyone's going to plug DeGrom in, and Cole's just going to go completely overlooked. And I mean, at what ownership could you actually play Cole over DeGrom?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's just, I mean, he's going to get some ownership, and we have other pitchers. Like if this was a slate without Kershaw, Wheeler, DeGrom, Cole would be my guy in cash. I mean, he's in a fine play, but you can't play everyone up top. You have to make some stances, and I like Wheeler for lower owned. I like his upside more. I like Kershaw's matchup more. Toronto's the least team I want to pick on out of the four pitchers we have up top. So he just falls outside. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. He has an 8.5K prop, which is higher than Wheeler and Kershaw, a little juice on the under, but yeah, I mean, I'm not going to talk anyone off of playing Cole. I prefer DeGrom at SP1. I prefer Wheeler at lower ownership, who's been very, very good. And then I prefer Kershaw too. So he falls fourth for me. I'm not playing 20 plus teams. And even if I was, I like condensing my pitcher pool. So that's just a stance I'd make.
All right, give me the condensed rankings. I know you just gave that, but like include like the cheap guys too. Give me your like top four, I guess. Include like it's like a raw points and point per dollar set title.
Yeah, so DeGrom's one for sure. Point per dollar, it's Greinke. His upside, he's more of a cash play than a tournament play for me because I think Wheeler or Kershaw could both have 10 plus Ks, and I don't see that upside for Greinke. But point per dollar, I'll go DeGrom, Greinke. Kershaw is safer, so I'll go Kershaw, Wheeler. But in tournaments, I think Kershaw is going to have higher ownership, and it's going to be Wheeler for me in tournaments as SP2.
All right, DC, before we go to that, so I have the other thing I'm going to hang up. I think it's pretty good. I feel like DFS players will approve, maybe not like JSU, but like it's a sign. It's a street sign. It says narrative street, right? I mean, that's pretty good. I mean,
that is good.
Gotta be
I like that.
Right? Yeah, my buddy got it for me because when I first got into DFS, I used to always talk about narrative street, and like he would like make fun of me for it and say it's stupid. So whenever it would be right, I would just say it's never lost, right? I mean, DC, a narrative has literally
look at you now. Look at that stellar place you're living in. He's been making fun of you all this time, but you made it, man. Going so yeah, your buddy can go F himself.
Send that to Hector. He's the new narrative guy. You got to pass it on as a gift.
Yeah, I might have to one day, but I do love the sign. It's
once you graduated from narrative street yourself, you send the sign somewhere else. Maybe that guy learns and he passes it on. The narrative street sign can it'll live on.
It'll live on forever. But yeah, definitely gonna hang that one up. I think that one's pretty good. It's nice and DFS related. DC, give me your top M arms. Like mine's DeGrom, right? I'm playing him, no doubt. I think Greinke's a great point per dollar guy. I don't know if I'm gonna eat all the chalk at pitcher, but people love your pitcher takes. So give me your kind of top 4 to 5 rankings here.
I'm going Kershaw number 1. I just really, really like what I've seen, and that is partially baking in the probability that DeGrom isn't quite right or that he's going to be on a pitch count or something like that. So I've got Kershaw 1, DeGrom 2. I'll probably have more Bailey Ober than Zach Wheeler, but basically those 4 guys are who I'm playing. Kershaw, DeGrom, Bailey Ober, and Wheeler. Maybe some Greinke, but now that you're saying Greinke's going to be super chalk, I'll probably play a Joey Gallo or something instead of playing Greinke.
Yeah, I don't know how super, like, he's not going to be DeGrom chalk. He'll definitely have ownership, though. People don't go top tier. They're going to fall to that price tag. He's, super chalk.
I get why it kind of stands out in there. I know he's been good too. Maybe he's been Zach Greinke. He just kind of does the same thing every year. I just don't see enough upside there for me to like him. I think Bailey Ober's got a decent chance to match him, frankly. So I'll take the 3K savings there if I'm going cheaper.
I will say, DC, you and I talked about some K props a little bit today because I was looking to put some up on Run Pure Bets. And, we put the Snell one up. I'm pretty sure the Snell one already hit him. He was crushing it. But I debated Zach Greinke, and I was like, I literally can't bet a Zach Greinke prop. Like, I just can't. Like,
what's his K prop? 5.5, something like that?
It was 4.5, which is when it was juiced on the over. And I was just like,
feels a little rich.
I just could not stomach it, right? I mean, Title, could you actually imagine walking to the
What are you talking about Snell hitting the K prop? He doesn't have a single strikeout yet.
That's what I meant. We hit the under.
Okay. Yeah. I was like,
yeah. You did make it sound like you hit the over, and you said crushing, and I was like, he wasn't crushing the first inning.
Yeah, because you said in the DMs, you're like, Snell at Coors Field. I'm like, I'm not playing Snell at Coors Field. I'm stacking the Rockies. So
no, I said the under. At least I thought I did, unless I.
We're good. You got it.
Sharp call.
Yeah.
Yeah, Greinke, 4.5. I mean, I would if it was even money on both sides, I would take the over 4.5 against this Texas team. But yeah, obviously it's not. So I'm not going out of my way to bet a Zach Greinke K prop.
Same here, but I do like the Kershaw calls by UDC. That's definitely, I'm playing tournaments tonight. I'm thinking of trying to do the DeGrom and Kershaw pairing possibly, and it's not easy. But all
right, so I've seen a couple of people. I'll ask DC, a couple Falix I didn't chat, a couple others talking about DeSclafani. I'm not going to my pitcher pool is narrow today, so I'm not going to go there. But DC, I mean, people have asked, what's your opinion on him today?
I think he's okay. I'm kind of with you, Title, where you would be, if I kept ranking, you would be 5th or 6th, right? I think probably right behind Greinke for me. I know he's coming off that was a complete game shutout, I think, against Washington. I believe that is his high. No, not quite. So you should be okay after 103 pitches. I will say lefties hit him much better in general. They always have, and that's remained true this year, even on a new team. And I think Arizona, as bad as Arizona has been, I do think they will roll out probably 6 or 7 lefties in this lineup. So, yeah, I think he's fine. We also saw that game in San Francisco have a lot of offense yesterday, and it looks like it's a little bit warmer there than it usually is. So that's something of a concern. I think DeSclafani's fine, but yeah, he's not in my kind of condensed player pool.
Yeah, I'm not too scared of Arizona. They also don't strike out a ton, right? DC, that's the one worry I kind of have. They feel like they're patient enough to play, but they don't destroy you. So you just don't get a ton of upside, right?
As bad as they've been, it's been more so their pitching that's been horrendous. I still don't think this is the world's greatest matchup or anything like that, especially for a guy who does struggle against lefties a little bit.
All right, well, we can move it along. Let's go on and talk about the catcher position. And catcher, it's a weekday at the catcher spot, man. I don't really know what to do. I think I'm just going to find my guy to spend down on, and that's it. Title, that's the approach I think you need to be taking in cash games. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, catcher's really bad today. It'll probably be the last position I fill out. Whatever fits, it fits. Ryan Jeffers, Steven Vogt, Kyle Higashioka. I know I didn't pronounce that name right, but Yankees catcher down there. It's just, I mean, it's a position to fill last. Nothing stands out at all. Austin Hedges, Kevin Smith. I mean, I literally don't have a strong lean to any of them. It's going to be what fits my build last, as catcher usually is. So that's how I'm approaching it today.
Yeah, DC, I'll go over to you. Brutal day at the catcher position, right? I mean, it hasn't been that bad this year, right? I mean, there's some years where it's been really ugly at catcher throughout, my DFS career, I guess you could call it, but it's not that bad this year. But today, it's not great. I don't know who I want to go to. Sure, you normally say JT Realmuto against the lefty, sign me up, but that's Clayton Kershaw he's going against. I'm just kind of trying to punt this position as best as possible. How about you?
I'm with you. I think if you're spending up at catcher today, you're doing it for the very purpose of being contrarian, right? To get one of these guys low owned, because you can't really make the case for any of these guys matchups being worth it at their price points. I think if I was, going to spend up, Buster Posey would probably be the guy most likely to be using against Carson Kelly, but it doesn't really excite me in San Francisco, right versus right, all that stuff. So he would be the guy, but I don't see myself spending up there. Ryan Jeffers is my favorite. I assume he'll be in the lineup for the Twins. He's shown some power recently, gets Justice Sheffield, who I don't think is any good. So, yeah, Jeffers for me, he's 2,800. I think he's the best play. Another guy I'm looking at a little bit, if he's in the lineup, Jason Castro for the Astros, recently returned from injury. He's got at least a little bit of pop against right-handed pitchers. I think the Astros could have a big night against Lyles, and Lyles himself, obviously a pretty good matchup for Castro. So Jeffers, Castro, but just a very, very uninspiring position tonight.
Yep, agreed. Definitely a tough position. Let's move on and talk about the first base position. But I do want to say, guys, please hit that like, hit that subscribe on the video. Again, helps us out a ton. Definitely appreciate it. Also want to talk about the podcast we have over here at Run Pure Sports. We had JT and Gary. They were on talking today for the MLB. DC got the day off. I don't know what he was doing on the day off. I don't know if you were dressed up yesterday, I believe was the show. You had the nice outfit on. So maybe Rachel Condon doing something. But tell people a little bit about the podcast that I assume you'll be back to tonight.
Yeah, me and Steve Boynton will record tonight. That's always a fun one. He knows his stuff for sure. Good coordinator over at RPS. And yeah, it's pretty much 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, just kind of breaking down all the games, talking any news, notes, trends in baseball. Talking some sticky substance recently. So yeah, just a good way to kick off your baseball research, usually out first thing in the morning. So check out the Run Pure Sports podcast if you haven't.
Yep, check that out. And let's bounce on over to the first base position, and I'll go over to Titletown. And I think at the top, you can definitely talk me into some Freddie Freeman. But again, it's a tight day with the salary cap because I think we want to spend more at the pitcher position. Freddie Freeman is 5.1K. There's DJ LeMahieu lurking, which again, Stripling, sure, like some Yankees make sense. And LeMahieu has been bad this year, but he's heating up a bit. What are you doing at the first base position, Title?
Yeah, you listed my two favorites, Free Money Freddie, 5.1K. I know he hasn't had the best of the year or best of the years, but he's still hitting the ball hard. I think it's going to come around and he's going to get hot soon. 5.1K. I mean, we're punting catcher. If you go Zach Greinke or something too, you'll have the money to spend. He's one of the better spend ups on the slate. DJ LeMahieu at 4.2K too against Ross Stripling, a reverse splits kind of guy. I think the Yankees, I'm not going to full stack them today, but they have some pieces, and DJ LeMahieu at the top of the lineup. 4.2K does seem a little cheap. I like the San Fran a little bit. Brandon Belt at 4.6K against Kelly. I don't think he's going to be played at all. He falls in between LeMahieu and Freeman. If you're stacking San Fran, I think he's a pretty good play. And then if you want to full punt it completely, if you're going all the way up at pitching, Bobby Dahlbeck, he's min price at 2K. He's a solid hitter against Ian Anderson too. So I'm not going to full stack Boston, I don't think, but he's min price. He gets you all the other top bats if you want it. So those are the four that I'm looking at.
All right, DC, I'll go over to you. What are you doing at the first base spot? I mean, it feels like that it's not the greatest day, but there's some decent options. Break it down for me. How are you handling first base today?
Yeah, first of all, I will second the Dahlbeck call for Title. He just got a lot of power, right? He strikes out too much. But Ian Anderson's his best pitch is a changeup. So that right versus right matchup actually sets up decently well for Dahlbeck. So I do like that. If you're punting it, I think that's a good way to go. But for me, this position, probably one I'm going to spend on. The two guys at the top, Freddie Freeman, I think he's going to be, my guess would be the most popular first baseman on the slate. I think rightfully so. I think the Braves are going to have another good night. I was on them yesterday. Kind of a lot of the damage, came from other guys, but they did score 8 runs against Boston. Same weather to, tonight that we had yesterday, where we saw 18 runs in that game. I think we could see another high-scoring affair between the Red Sox and the Atlanta Braves. So Freddie Freeman, of course, if you're stacking the Braves, probably going to want to include him. And, I know the results haven't been quite there for him this year, but getting super unlucky. I think he's basically the exact same hitter he was last year when he won the National League MVP with that bat. So I'll stick on the Freddie Freeman train for sure. And then Vladimir Guerrero against Garrett Cole, I think is a fun tournament play. Again, we think Garrett Cole, maybe not quite the dominant pitcher. He's still going to be dominant, but not quite the truly, truly upper echelon pitcher that we've seen with the changes the baseball's making. And one thing I like about this matchup for Guerrero, he's faced Cole 13 times in his young career, only one strikeout against Cole for Vladimir Guerrero. So he's been able to put the bat on the ball against Cole. And the way Vladimir Guerrero's been swinging it, if you're telling me he's not likely to strike out, I'll take my chances if Vladimir Guerrero's putting the bat on the ball right against anybody. It's not like Cole is some ground ball artist, and Vlad's just been smashing it. So I see no reason really why he couldn't do some serious damage against Garrett Cole. I bet you'll get him, I don't know, 10 for sure, less than 10%, maybe less than 5% owned for the best overall hitter in baseball right now. I'll take a shot on that.
All right, DC, we got a question. Well, it's not a question in the chat, but they said Mancini in tournaments, he will be low owned. I don't hate the call. Savali off that really big game against Seattle, but I'm not that scared of Savali, right? No. And also he went like a really long leash on that game, right? 8 innings. So I think you can make an argument that Mancini's kind of an interesting tournament play.
Yeah, no problem at all with him. I'd probably be more likely to play him in a full-on Baltimore stack, which I think is a reasonable thing to do against Savali. But yeah, I think he's fine. I'll throw Brandon Belt into the mix. He's been swinging a pretty good bat this year against Merrill Kelly if you want to get even more contrarian. But yeah, probably a spend up for me. Guerrero and Freeman at the top. And then if I really need a punt, maybe Bobby Dahlbeck all the way at the bottom. But I'm more likely to punt pitcher with Bailey Ober than I am to punt, some of these positions. So I'll probably end up on Freeman and Guerrero for the most part.
All right, let's move on over to the second base position. And DC, I'm going to go right back to you. You know why? Because Dylan Moore's an option again, right? We talked about him yesterday. 2.6K. I don't know if he'll be batting first, but he's in play. I think you like some of the Braves today. And Ozzie Albies seems like a great option if you have the money. But again, it's not the easiest day to spend your money. It's going to be a common theme on this slate if you're spending up at pitcher. And second base might not be a bad spot to save some cash.
Yeah, we were in on Dylan Moore yesterday. The Mariners put up 10 runs against J-Happ. Moore didn't do a whole lot. 0 for 4. He did manage to walk. He got those token 2 points, but a disappointment.
We call that the Yandy Diaz here, right, DC?
The Yandy Diaz. There you go. You're going to at least steal a base, man. Come on. But yeah, no, I think he's a fine play if you need the punt. Of course, I kind of like Bailey Ober, but no problem at all punting that if you want to go in that direction. Albies is 4,300. He's my top guy here. Jose Altuve and the Astros got to be in the conversation. Altuve, he looks like he's his old self. He's hitting 290 with 13 home runs this year. He had kind of a bad year in 2020, dealing with kind of the fallback from the cheating scandal, but he's rolling right now. This looks like vintage Jose Altuve to me. So I think he's a good play if you want to spend all the way up. I'll throw in Josh Rojas. Will likely lead off for the Diamondbacks tonight. He's 3,900, swings it pretty well against righties. And like I mentioned, Desclafani at times can struggle a little bit against lefty bats. And then that's mostly it. Yeah, Dylan Moore I think is the best cheap option, but yeah, a lot of Ozzie Albies for me, and maybe some Josh Rojas as well.
All right, and we got Steve Boyne is a little hurt in the chat. He goes, gonna go the whole show without acknowledging the Ty France bomb last night. I see how it is. Listen, I don't think Ty France is gonna play today. If we acknowledge it, DC, you made fun of Steve a little bit for this. I guess the floor is yours on some Ty France here.
It's been acknowledged. Ty France did indeed hit a home run yesterday. I believe his fourth of the year. He's been crushing it.
Yeah, Steve, just be the guy that tries to roster the pinch hit home run tonight, right? Put some Ty France in your lineup. Maybe it's a pinch hit bomb. Title, do you want to acknowledge the Ty France home run, or do you want to just go talk about second right away?
I'll leave that for DC and Steve to talk about. But second base, you guys hit it all. Ozzie Albies is a top play for me at 4.3K. It's not going to be contrarian, but that's just too cheap for speed power guys. So Ozzie up there. If you're going to go all the way up top, Jose Altuve at 5.6K. And it'll be a little contrarian too, because you're going to look at Ozzie and Jose and save the 1,300. So if you are going the Ober or something like that, you want to get contrarian, I'm good with going Altuve. Then Dylan Moore at 2.6K is definitely the value play. It's pretty much those three for me. Josh Rojas at 3.9 leading off the lefty. You rather lefties against Desclafani. I'm fine with that, but I'd rather find the 400 to get Albies. So pretty condensed player pool. You guys nailed it though.
Yeah, seems like a pretty simple position. Let's move on over to the third base spot, and we'll go back to DC because we want to talk about the Twins, and we want to talk about Josh Donaldson against a lefty because, hey, that's what everyone wants to do when Josh Donaldson gets to play against a lefty. I hate rostering him, DC. Are you going to roster him here on this slate?
Yeah, I'll have some exposure. I know he's been disappointing at times, but he's still doing all right. 10 home runs on the year, gets a bad lefty. So yeah, I'm in on Josh Donaldson here. Jose Ramirez all the way up top. Got to consider him at 6K. Disappointed yesterday, but we know what he can do. I think he's a good spend up. Rafael Devers in that Atlanta game, he hit a bomb yesterday to dead center field. I like him quite a bit. Ian Anderson's a good pitcher, but I think offense is going to most likely prevail in that Boston-Atlanta game tonight. So I like him as well. And I keep talking about the Braves, but very high on them tonight. Austin Riley actually swinging a better bat against righties than lefties this year. Richards doesn't have many splits or pronounced splits himself. So I think Riley could go perhaps a little bit under the radar at 4,900 for the Braves. So definitely on those guys. And then if you're not on Ober, Kyle Seager, I think is a good play at 3,400. Ober's big weakness so far has been kind of giving up home runs and some hard contact. He's a strike throwing machine, going to get strikeouts, but I think he'll give up a fair amount of home runs as well going forward. So Kyle Seager, probably my favorite guy to spend down on if you're punting the position a little bit.
What about spending down on a Maikel Franco? Double player in the chat is asking. I don't hate it if you're doing an Orioles stack, right? Kind of what you said with Mancini.
Yeah, I think he's fine. 2,400, cheap enough. We know he can hit a little bit. He's got some power, so no problem with that at all.
Yeah, I had a nice day with the Orioles the other day, and I wasn't expecting Maikel Franco to be in my lineup, and it was one of those things. Big T talks about a lot in tournaments. These guys at the bottom, they sometimes get the job done for you, and trust me, I wasn't out here touting Franco, and I held my nose when I did it, and he got me 26 fantasy points. Sometimes that happens. I mean, Ty France sometimes gets lucky. So does Maikel Franco. Title, I'll go over to you. I think you'll like some Donaldson at the top, but I also think you'll like some Kyle Seager. Break down the third base position for me.
Yeah, Kyle Seager and Donaldson, definitely my two favorites, 5K. And then if you're going down 3.4K, if you're trying to get different outside of those two, if you're punting pitcher like DC is in some lineups, Alex Bregman at 5.8K against Jordan Lyles, you'll have the money. People won't have the money, so it'll be a little different. Really good play on the slate too. Gio Urshela at 4.4K too against Stripling. There's a couple. I mean, you could go LeMahieu, Urshela, that Higashioka, the catcher down low, and get a couple Yankees bats who I do like their spot against Stripling today, the reverse splits guys. So 4.4K, I think he's interesting, but Kyle Seager and Donaldson are my two favorites, and that's where I'll have most of my exposure.
And that was a good attempt at the name. I call him Kyle H. Title. We just go by.
I have no clue. What is it, DC?
You got
it is Kyle Higashioka.
Yeah, I'll call him Kyle H too.
Kyle H. We're on a first name basis, but we got the chat. Steve says, no Kyle Tucker for the Astros tonight. Think he might unregister. DC, are you unregistering because Kyle Tucker is not in the lineup?
No, I can't. I got a gambling addiction, so I got to play.
Yeah, I mean, you got to get your action in. I mean, come on. There's a reason, DC. None of my stuff is hung up, right? We're grinding soccer. We're grinding every slate, right? We're CSGO, LOL, all the sports. Even Title, he grinded some LOL. Have you played since the?
You got to feel alive, man. You got to get that action in there.
I have not played League of Legends since the summer. I was grinding that every day, way too much. I got my one hit. I split the monster up top toward the end of League of Legends. That pretty much brought me back to even. I was getting crushed.
Were you like sweating the games? What's going on with the heroes and all that?
Oh yeah, and I know League. I know slaying the dragons, capturing all that stuff.
It looks like a fun game. I've never gotten into it, but
it was actually really. I mean, with no sports on, it was enjoyable to watch.
Do you play yourself? The game?
No, I don't really play video games, but watching it, understanding with money on the line it was a sweat for sure with nothing else going on. Poker and League of Legends at 4 a.m. I mean, I don't miss those days, but degenerates, like you said, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
DC, I'm a League of Legends OG. I played in 2010 when it first came out. I played the first season they ever had. So I played it for a while. So I was actually kind of excited when it first started.
You're a little bit of a gamer, right, Mangone?
Yeah, I definitely game, and I stumbled upon it. It's a lot of fun. I will say, DC, if you like you love Twitter to troll and stuff. If you like a good toxic community, and you can just type in the chat.
Oh, I love a good toxic community.
Oh, I mean, League of Legends. If you play one game of League of Legends, right, the community is toxic. It is a good time.
I do like when you see this on Twitter when people are like, man, if you would have played Xbox Live back in the day, you wouldn't be offended by some of the stuff you hear on Twitter, because it's way worse back in the day when you're playing Halo on Xbox Live for sure.
Oh, correct. I grew up with that. So.
Someone's asking what's a dragon title. They slay dragons and barons come out and all that stuff, right? Right, Mangone?
Yes, they slayed Baron, the Elder Drake, right? All the different Ocean Drake. They got all the different ones. So there's tons of dragon slaying going on, even though this wasn't Game of Thrones. And DC, I still play video games. Instead, when you play video games and you die in a game, you say like I hate you, or you make fun of the other teammate, you're terrible, right? The new thing I do is I just say runpuresports.com and I drop the promo code. It's a fun little joke I do. So maybe we pick up some subscribers along the way, DC. How's that sound?
I don't know if we're gonna pick any subscribers up from that, but maybe. Hey, we'll do what we can.
Hey, RPS Heater 25, right? Use that code, you get 25% off, and you get to have a good time in the Discord chat with all of us. So make sure to get on in there. You can ask DC about the spin rates. You can ask Titletown about his bucks. It's a good time over there in the Discord chat. But let's move on over. We talked about where were we at? I lost track because we were talking about slaying.
I believe we're on Shortstop.
We were really run off on a rail here. What'd you say?
Shortstop, yeah.
Yeah, Shortstop.
League of Legends took all. I mean, we don't need to deal with League of Legends anymore. Thankfully, we got baseball to talk about.
Hey, we still got the content.
That's the first and last League of Legends conversation for me.
Yes, let's go talk about the shortstop position. And again, Bichette's been crushing it all year long, and Garrett Cole does give up home runs. Wouldn't be the craziest idea, but Carlos Correa, he is batting sixth. But if you like some Houston Astros, I don't like leaving him off my stacks, especially against someone like Jordan Lyles and that terrible Texas bullpen. DC, I'll go over to you. How do you want to handle the shortstop position tonight?
Yeah, a couple of the good guys played early, but we still have plenty of options at shortstop. Of course, at the top, Correa, I think the number one guy for me if you're spending all the way up. But Xander Bogaerts, I think, is a good option. And then if you want to get really contrarian, Bo Bichette. I'm putting in at least one full-on Blue Jays stack against Garrett Cole. We'll see what happens. It'll be super low owned, and I could see it working. In the mid-range, three guys all listed right. Actually, four guys all listed right together. Brandon Crawford, 4,100. I've been talking about him, pretty much every time he's against a mediocre or bad right-handed pitcher. Dude's just crushing it. 15 home runs. I don't see him slowing down much. He's changed his profile completely. He changed it last year. Giants got new hitting coaches. He started selling out for power, and it is working. He's not going to change while it's working. So Brandon Crawford, even in San Francisco, I think he's got a chance to do some serious damage. Dansby Swanson, if you're on the Braves, I would certainly include him on your stack if you can. Josh Rojas, we talked about him previously. You can play him at second or shortstop. And then Ahmad Rosario. Ahmad Rosario hitting second for Cleveland. He's been swinging it pretty good. And I do like that Cleveland stack a little bit against Aiken, the lefty for Baltimore. So kind of like the mid-range here for shortstop.
All right, Title, talking about shortstop. Do you like the mid-range like DC does? Break it down for me.
Yeah, I think shortstop's a position where whoever you stack, I'm going to throw in my stack because no one really stands out completely. Yeah. Like Brandon Crawford, if you're stacking the Giants, or Brandon Belt, I mean, I like him at 4.1K. Dansby Swanson at 4K if you're on the Braves. Josh Rojas, 3.9K, you can play at shortstop. Carlos Correa, if you're on Houston, I would play him at 4.8K. So it's mainly a position that I'm just going to do whatever is in my stack. Brandon Crawford is probably my favorite at 4.1K. And then maybe Ahmed Rosario is my favorite at 3.8K. One of those two. Rosario's been swinging a very hot bat, way too cheap at the top of the order in the two holes. So
I think Ahmed Rosario maybe beats Crawford the majority of the time, but I think Crawford's got a little bit more upside, right? Crawford's more likely to hit 2 home runs.
Power. Yep. I couldn't agree more. So I think Rosario is my favorite. Crawford, it's whatever you're stacking, I think is how you do shortstop.
Agreed.
Today,
I think that's a good approach. Yep.
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. DC, I'm looking at the YouTube chat, right? And you said we make these threats sometimes and we never follow through. And we might have to follow through today, DC. I mean, 322 watching, 86 likes. Tell me what the number is. What is the number we need to get to? Because they're slacking here and they may not be getting the plays of the day, DC.
That's a rough number right there, getting ratioed once again. I think we got to get to 150. I'm not going to ask for the full double, right, from 86 to what would that be, 172? Not a math major, but I think that's math. But 150. We got to get to 150 in the next 10 minutes. We'll see if we can do it.
All right, we'll see if we can get it done. If not, I'm telling Simon, I'm just going to say, get us out of here. That's all I'm going to do. And he's going to get us out of here. And it's just
that would be the first man going show that ever ended early. So that'd be cool.
Oh, man. That's
dang. That is hurtful.
Jeez,
throwing.
okay, well,
You talk about League of Legends, man, going and you get DC riled up. I don't know.
yeah, well, we got people in the chat. They're making fun of someone for saying dragons with a Y. Dragons. It's probably title because titles.
Yeah, he was saying dragon. I don't hear the Y. Maybe I said it. Dragon. I do know how to say it. I think.
Right.
I think you'll get over that one. You can be okay getting made fun of for adding a Y to dragon. I think you'll be all right.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, well, let's move on.
Heard worse.
Let's talk about the outfield position, right? DC, there's tons of outfielders today. At the top, obviously Nelson Cruz, right? Nelson Cruz against the lefty. Always sign me up for that one, even at 5K. Break it down for me though here. What are we doing at outfield?
Yeah, Cruz got to be near the top of your list. I don't know. There's not that much to say about Nelson Cruz. He's facing a bad lefty. You just play the man, right? Like that's just a profitable play over the course of time. So yeah, Cruz would be, I think, number one for me, frankly, out of all these outfielders. Acuna, not far behind, especially if you're on the Braves. I would obviously want to include Ronald Acuna in that stack. He would be 2. Yordan Alvarez, I assume he's in there for the Astros. Yeah, hitting 4th as usual. No Kyle Tucker, but Alvarez is in there. I really like the Astros tonight against Lyle, so he would be number 3. And then, some guys in the mid-range that you can use if you're not on Greinke. I think Joey Gallo and Willie Calhoun, both pretty decent plays. Dominic Smith has power. He goes up against looks like kind of maybe a bullpenish game for the Cubs. So he's 4,200. You'll get him low owned, I think. I don't know. I kind of like spending here, to be honest. And when we're going back to kind of bring it full circle back to Bailey Ober, I can play Cruz, Alvarez, and Ronald Acuna in the outfield. Those seem like guys we're spending on to me. So, if you do want to go cheap a pitcher, like I'm going to do on some lineups, I think that makes sense. The cheap guys that are the best, I think, are the Baltimore outfielders. DJ Stewart's 2,400. Cedric Mullins is 3,500. I don't know what Cedric Mullins needs to do to get a price hike, right? The dude just crushing it all year long, but hey, we'll take advantage. So 3,500 for Cedric Mullins seems like a very strong play. I bet he'll be pretty popular leading off for the Orioles.
Yeah, we got in the chat, one of the guys is saying the BVP is strong, 3 for 3 with 2 home runs, DC. So how can you argue with that? I mean, we got a guaranteed he's going to probably get 3 at-bats against Savali, right? We get 2 more home runs tonight. How can you say no?
I'm a BVP guy. Yeah, 3 at-bats, 3 hits, 2 home runs. Sounds pretty good to me.
Yep. Title, I'll go over to you. I love those Baltimore outfielders. I think I'm going to look at that Baltimore stack a little bit. Talk to me though. What are we doing in the outfield? Are we spending up like DC's talking about possibly? Are we spending down? How are you handling the outfield in cash games?
It's actually not the deepest position, as deep as it usually is, but I guess that makes sense because pitching's better than hitting on the slate. But Ronald Acuna is my number 1 up top, followed by Nelson Cruz. They're my 2 favorite spend ups, both in good spots today. Acuna, though, if I can only pick one, he is the guy. Yordan Alvarez, I like him a lot at 4.7K. Michael Brantley at 3.9K as well. That's too cheap against Jordan Lyles. And then we get Abraham Almonte at 2.3K in the 4-hole for Atlanta against Richards. He's my favorite salary saver. He's definitely going to get some ownership, but easy exposure to the Braves. And then, DJ Stewart and Cedric Mullins if you're punting fully. But it's a pretty tight position for me. If I had to do name one more, Mike Yastrzemski, I think he gets overlooked, and I do like San Fran a little bit too. So that's like 8-9 guys that I mentioned, but I think it's pretty condensed.
All right. I don't got too much else to say here in the outfield. Obviously, Steve Boynton needs an outfielder from us because he lost his boy Kyle Tucker. I would say plug in one of those Baltimore guys. I think it's a pretty good spot for them, but we need to move on and talk about the stacks because we're struggling on the likes. So I don't know. Clock is ticking here, DC. It's ticking, and we got to get this thing moving. So give me your stacks, and let's see if these people can get it to 150.
Yeah, I'm going with the Braves. Number 1 was on them yesterday. Expect kind of another big performance out of them. Really, really good hitting weather in Truist Park in Atlanta. And Garrett Richards, I think he's been a little bit lucky this year. Bottom starting to fall out for him a little bit. I think we're going to continue to see that. I think the Braves are going to do some serious damage. They're my number 1. I'll go to the Astros, number 2, especially if you're spending down at pitching. These Astros are all expensive, right? You can get Michael Brantley for 3.9K, but Altuve 5.6, Bregman 5.8, Jordan 4.7. So if you are punting pitching a little bit, I think they are a pretty good option. And then I'll throw in the Orioles against Savali. I know Savali a pretty good pitcher, but you can get the stack super cheap, right? That's kind of why it's so appealing, because you can get Mullins, Mancini, Galvis, Mountcastle, Stewart for like an average of like 3.3K or something. You could fit in Kershaw, DeGrom if you want with a good Orioles stack and a good hitting environment against a solid but not scary pitcher by any means. So yeah, give me the Braves, the Astros, and the Orioles as a cheap stack.
All right, Title. He said Braves, Astros, and Orioles. The main one I'm looking at is the Orioles. I think that's the one I'm building around because they're pretty cheap, and I'm trying to figure out what my secondary one will be. Title, bring me your stacks, though. Which ones are you going to?
Yeah, Braves and Astros are my two favorites, too. They're just in the best spots. And then my third favorite is the Giants. I like picking on Kelly. I think the Giants have good left-handed bats. Pretty affordable, too. And Brandon Crawford, Belt, Yastrzemski, all in the 4Ks. So they're my third favorite, and that's who I'll be building around in tournaments.
All right. And listen, I'm going to do a quick refresh here and just see, maybe it's up here. There's an
We
issue.
getting there?
We're not doing good. It looks like we're at 126. So DC, I'm going to say this. If you had the under on this show getting out of here on time, if you had the over on League of Legends references on this show, you are probably rich. But Simon, it's that time. Get us out of here. See you on the premium show.
Sorry, everybody.